An elven warrior trapped on modern-day Earth. Two friends with different destinies meet at a magical school. These are some of the stories we at Electric Lips Comics are working on. You can get your copies of both The Mana Chronicles and Tales of Mithril at elpmerch.com. Support independent creators, explore the merch featuring exciting ELP Comics art with a wide range of designs. Electric Lips Comics. Imagination electrified.
Welcome to They Mostly Plotted at Night. Mostly, I am Salem, joined by my co-host Graveyard.
Hello.
This is episode 121, that's 121 of our weekly All Things Horror podcast. This week, we are checking into a few hotel motel themed films. We're going way back to when Christopher Lee was almost young. He was almost there. Not quite yet, but a younger Christopher Lee in Horror Hotel. Some places known as City of the Dead.
For some reason.
But in the US, it was known as the Horror Hotel. But if you're looking for it, you might have to look for City of the Dead because for some reason it has both names. So that we will sample good old Farmer Vincent smoked meats in Motel Hell. And watch poor Tobin Bell phone in a performance at the worst of all the motels. That's right, it's the Clown Motel. Should you hang the Do Not Disturb sign, or is housekeeping ready to clean out this mess? I'm gonna say we just need to sweep out this October, like clean out the stall and like start over because this horse has got some stomach problems.
We'll say it right now. Arguably the worst October for us. Even if when it's getting to me, that's saying something. I picked all this shit, so
yeah. So I'm looking forward to next month. That's all I can say. We'll talk more about that later. So anyway, we are starting off with Horror Hotel from all the way back to 1962. That's right. It's black and white and everything.
This is among one of our oldest movies that we did like a full-on review for. I believe.
Probably. I mean, yeah. We don't do very many of them. We did Dracula.
We did, but I mean, like it was. That's probably the oldest, but like we recapped a lot of the black and white era, like earlier in the podcast. So.
Most of this, I mean, I've watched a lot, but it was mostly for research purposes for other things we were doing. But yeah, but as far as, like, you're right, as far as full reviews go, we've only got a couple. I think Dracula was from the 30s.
Yeah.
But that's really it. I mean, I think there's a couple other from the 60s. What House on Haunted Hill, what year was that? That was 60s, right?
1969.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's about as far back as it goes. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, we don't do too many. I guess we should. Well, I've been trying to put.
We'll be getting to them. We'll do full-on reviews, so
we'll get there.
Yep.
Anyway, so we will go to Horror Hotel back in the good old days of gender roles and everyone just drinking constantly. We're going way back.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I don't do you service when you come over and have a serving cart of alcohol ready for you.
Right, yeah, exactly. Like a serving cart and then like a full meal as like a quote unquote snack. It's like, wow, what the fuck? Or like, oh, we just, I stop over for a visit at your office. Oh, and let me mix you a fancy mixed drink that takes me like 3 minutes to make.
Yeah.
And then they leave right afterwards. Like, I would be pissed. Like, sit the fuck down and drink that. I spent 3 minutes making it.
Exactly.
Sorry. Well, that was another thing I never talked about. When we talked about the House on Haunted Hill, when the old lady was asking for a drink, she kept saying, "I'll take a Scotch and that's all she said. She didn't say anything else. She said a Scotch and. I'm like, okay, there's a lot of things that could end that sentence. Like, I'm assuming they meant scotch and soda because that's like the most
Yes.
common one. But you can also do like scotch and waters, like scotch. There's all kinds of other things. She just said scotch and maybe back then it was only one thing it could ever be.
Sorry, and House on the Hill was 1959. I was incorrect. But yeah, I do scotch and scotch. So
I don't do either one. But yeah, it's like scotch and I'm like, what the fuck? What is that? Is it like a scotch egg? Sorry. Okay, so we go to Horror Hotel, 1962. Opens up with a nice old fashioned witch burning. In like the Pilgrim days. I don't know. It was like the 1690s, like typical witch burning times, but you know, everybody's wearing like literally like comic book looking pilgrim clothes and shit.
And robes.
So yeah, lady gets burned at the stake, but this time she actually was a witch. And she like pledges her life to Satan. One of the pilgrim guys in the crowd also pledges his life to Satan. And you know, it just kind of ends at that point. There's kind of like a weird narration kind of maybe hinting that worked. Right, that like actually happened, but we don't get full confirmation until much later.
Right.
So then we go to the college to where our almost young Christopher Lee is a professor, who's giving personal witchcraft lectures in his office
to women.
To mostly women. There are a couple guys in there, but he's like hyper fixated on this one woman in particular. Like he wants to talk to her and only her, and everybody else is just like in his way. What it really feels like here. But she's like super into witchcraft. They're talking about, this is, one of the people that got burned was this lady, and they were literally talking about the women that got burned in the open. I don't remember her name. Doesn't matter. So she was burned in this town called Whitewood. And so he's like, well, I just happen to be from that town. And it's full of all touristy witch stuff. You should totally go there, because she's going to write her term paper on witchcraft stuff.
Yes, he's from there that has a seemingly population of 10.
Right, like the population of actually like 0. I don't know what they're talking about. But yeah, so she decides, I'm going to go on a little vacation to visit this town of witchcraft in the middle of nowhere without telling anyone where I'm really going or what I'm doing without any information. Yeah, by herself in 1962, which I don't know. That seems odd to me, but okay. I mean, I wasn't born back then. I don't know what that mindset was, but that's what she does. So she drives all the way out to Whitewood. I guess we're kind of introduced to her like boyfriend, kind of frat boy dude.
Let's just call him Moose.
Yeah, exactly. He's like a dumb frat boy kind of guy. We get introduced to her, and we're like kind of introduced to like her brother, who's also just kind of there. It doesn't matter. It's just these are other characters.
He's a scientist,
right?
At the college,
a generic. I'm a scientist. Yes.
Yeah, he says it a lot, so that's why I hit up.
Right. Exactly. Okay, so she drives into Whitewood. She has to like ask some old man at a gas station how to get there. He's like, "Oh, you shouldn't go there." She's like, "Oh, I'm going anyway." So she finds this, kind of a guy sitting on the side of the road, very spooky guy. Gets in the car. Can you drive me to Whitewood? That's where I'm going. Kind of creepy, spooky, saying a lot of cryptic things. And then when they get there, he's disappeared. Right? He just turns into fog, apparently.
Sure. I mean, everyone turned into fog. I feel like there's a lot of fog in this movie.
And like I said, I call it Fogtown, USA, because it's literally fog machines running nonstop. Like the ground of the entire town is just totally covered in fog.
I would almost say knee level fog.
Right. It's like nonstop. Like you can't even see the streets or plants or nothing. It's just fog. But it's only up to knee height. So
and perpetual darkness.
Yeah. So she goes to check into this hotel. It's called like the Raven Inn or something. And he's like, go talk to this lady at the inn. She'll let you stay there. So she goes into the inn. I'd like a room. Oh, there's no rooms. You can't stay here. He's like, oh, well, Professor Christopher Lee sent me. And she's like, oh, okay. Yeah, there's a room for you right here. Like right next to the lobby. Not upstairs like where everybody else is. No, right next to the lobby.
I mean, in fairness, it's probably just someone's house.
Right. Right. So she's kind of like super creepy. She meets the kind of like mute housekeeper, um, who like seems to be like kind of trying to like tell her something, but she can't actually talk. And then she eventually gets, kind of, shushed away by the proprietor, madam lady. And anyway, and then she goes, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go walk around the town." And she's like, "Oh, I go check out the church. That's a great place to go." So she goes to the church. The priest won't even open the door. He like holds it open like an inch, and he basically tells her, "Get the hell out of here. It's too scary. Right? You shouldn't be here. Don't stay the night here. Just leave right now." She's like, "Oh, that's interesting. See you later." And then goes next door to a bookstore, where she meets a lady. I don't know, a younger lady. I don't.
Who happens to be the granddaughter of the priest. Yes.
Right, yeah, who's the granddaughter of the priest. Obviously, I guess not a Catholic priest. I'm guessing.
I would say he obviously not Catholic, but he's not the other religion that's in the town either, though. So.
Yeah, right. No, well, maybe he had kids before he turned Catholic priest. I guess that's a possibility. Right?
Sure.
I don't want to, guess at his heritage or whatever. Anyway, so he, she's talking to the lady like, "Oh, I'm interested in witchcraft." And he's like, "Oh, check out all these like cool demon worship books I have." "Oh, that's cool. That's interesting." So she grabs this book. She goes back to the hotel. She borrows the book from her. She doesn't buy it because she can't afford it because it's a very old book. So she borrows the book.
And valuable. Yes.
Yeah. So she borrows the book. She goes back to her hotel room and she like, lays on the bed with her feet up in the air like she's writing her boyfriend a love note, studying witchcraft books. And then she, when she gets back, she notices that her locket has been stolen. She tells the head lady, "Oh, that's interesting. Must have been the mute girl, So then she goes back in her room again, and then she finds like a bird, a dead bird with like a nail in it. Which, as she was like reading in her book, means that she is then marked to be a sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
To which she's like, "Oh, this is spooky scary, right?" So then she goes back to her room. She kind of tries to I don't know why she didn't just leave, honestly. She goes back to her room. She hears like singing and screaming. I guess there was a weird scene of like this dancing happening in the lobby, and then she gets all dressed to go in the lobby, and she goes in the lobby and there's no one there. Even though there was somebody there dancing like literally 30 seconds earlier. Pointless scene. But so she hears chanting or whatever in her room, and she figures out it's coming from the basement. She finds like a key to open up a trap door in the floor of her room. She opens it up. It leads down to like an old timey bricked up basement. So she goes down there, a secret wall opens up, guys come out, like cultist robes, like, old fashioned cultist robes. They grab her, they bring her to like an altar, and then they essentially sacrifice her.
Well, they cut in the cake. What are you talking about?
Yeah, so they sacrifice her because that was like, I don't know, one of the witches' holidays. There's like 2 witches' holidays.
It was my half birthday.
Yeah,
February 1st.
Yeah, February 1st, the witch's holiday. And then like the other witch's holiday was apparently 2 weeks after that, which is
it's Candlemas Eve. Thank you very much.
Okay, Candlemas Eve. And then the other holiday for the entire year where they have to sacrifice somebody is like apparently 2 weeks after that, which is like you get bam, bam, but like sacrifice, 2 weeks sacrifice, and then you get to wait like 11 and a half months before you have to do it again. That's a very odd.
You just get all your holidays done at the same time.
I guess so. So then we cut back 2 weeks later. We're at a birthday party, and the girl's boyfriend and brother both show up to this birthday party going
to their cousin's birthday party.
Yeah, their cousin's birthday party. They're going, she's not here. She said she was going to be here after she was done studying in the town like 2 weeks ago. That's odd.
Well,
I guess it's a different time. I guess it was harder to like contact people, but they had telephones.
Moose probably didn't realize how many days have passed. All right.
I'm like, they had telephones. Like, You're telling me she didn't like call her boyfriend? I'm not saying she had to call him every day, but like once a fucking week, maybe. Dear God.
No communication for 2 weeks and go,
Right.
eh.
Yeah. And then they're starting like, something might be wrong here. So like apparently like someone finally notices that she's missing. So they start to look. And right the brother decides that he's gonna go to the town to check it out.
Fogtown, USA.
Yeah, he's gonna go to Fogtown, USA. And right before he does that, the book lady, she goes to the Raven place. Oh, here's your book back. You know, the girl apparently left, but she left this book behind. You know, here you can have it back.
Right, she disappeared within a day.
Right, yeah, she disappeared less than 24 hours. Oh, I guess she's gone.
Yeah.
So she gives her, you know, the book back, and then she's, you know, apparently finds a little note in there, and somehow that little note leads her to her brother back in the big city.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes and talks to Christopher Lee, who we then find out is in on the whole thing.
Seemingly at his own house.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. He's like, you know, sacrificing a fucking bird like in his office. Like,
And I'll throw this out right now. I like the fact that someone's ringing his front doorbell. It's like, oh shit, I better stop what I'm doing and answer the door. Like, what? Just finish.
right.
You don't have to answer the door.
Right. Well, he's got to answer the door and then make a drink for 3 minutes.
I guess.
So she kind of meets up with that guy at Christopher Lee's office, saying like, "Oh yeah, she was there, and then she just disappeared. It was kind of odd." And he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, you know, you go back. I'll meet you there. I'm gonna go check her out. You know, I'm gonna go see if I can find what happened to her. I'm gonna start investigating." Christopher Lee is like, "Oh no, the jig is up. They found something." 2 weeks later.
Once again, if he didn't answer the door, that wouldn't have happened.
Right. Yeah. So they start to look. So Book Lady makes it back to town, and then Book Lady then finds a bird with a nail in it in her room. So now she has been marked, and the priest comes in and is trying to like help her. He's going like, "We got to get out of here like right now. We have to leave." You know, like, and the brother is on his way. The boyfriend also decides to go.
But unfortunately, his car is made out of paper mache.
Right, yeah, he crashes his car because the ghost guy scared him. So he crashes his car. He exits the film for a while. He does come back later. The brother, the same thing happens to him where he picks up the ghost hitchhiker guy, drives him back to Fogtown, USA, and then disappears as soon as he gets there. And there's some sweet jazz was playing at this part for some reason. Like, while that guy was driving, there was some sweet music on the radio. That's the only time in the movie that music is playing.
I will spoiler in my low points. Big band jazz.
Oh, you don't like sweet old jazz? Come on now.
You're not gonna get that big band jazz out of that town.
Well, they had, you know, radios, like record players. It wasn't a band. Anyway, so yeah, he goes to the hotel, and the lady's like, "Oh, I don't know, she's gone. I don't know what to tell you." And then Lottie kind of tries to say something to him to warn him. Both Christopher Lee and the proprietor lady both see her and then just choke her to death and kill her.
Yes.
So he decides to go talk to the priest because she said, "Oh, I think she went to the church." So he goes and talks to the priest. Basically, the priest and the book lady tell him the whole story about the whole, you know, witch burning, and you know, it turned this town into Satan's town, and the witches all gotta sacrifice people on these 2 witches' holidays, and then if they do that, Satan will let them live forever. So like the witch lady that got burned is the proprietor of the hotel. Yeah. And then the other guy, is it Christopher Lee or is it the other dude?
It's Chris Lee. Yeah, it's
Whatever.
him. But
Yeah,
essentially, I don't know how the City of the Dead equates to witches, but yeah.
Yeah, so they've been alive back then. The power of Satan has kept them alive, and the only thing that Satan requires of them is that they sacrifice 2 people a year on these 2 different holidays,
which is
are
a
2
lot.
weeks apart.
Which is a lot.
Right.
For a town that has 10 people.
Correct. So they have to lure people into the town to kill because there's no one there to do it.
Right.
And there's too much fog.
Yeah.
So right after that happens, the boyfriend like shows up all injured, going like, oh, and then the book lady gets kidnapped. So the cultist people kidnap the book lady. The priest basically, tells him everything, but then kind of can't do anything after
Like,
that.
essentially dies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they don't actually show him dying, but like his point in the movie is over. So they just like
he doesn't come back. Let's just say he's
he
dead.
just goes away.
Yeah.
So injured boyfriend is like, oh, I was in a car crash. I'm here to help. And he's like, oh, great. Here, go in my car and just sit there and stay out of the way.
Yep.
And then he goes to try to find out what's going on. He ends up getting captured by the cultist people too. They go and do like this big elaborate ritual where they're going to kill them on the 13th tolling of the clock, which is the witch's hour or whatever.
In the cemetery.
And they're going to sacrifice both the guy and the girl, the book lady and this guy. And they're going to make Satan happy. And then the boyfriend shows up all injured and they're like, oh, use the shadow of the cross, which, I don't think I've heard of that before. Have you?
No,
like the shadow of the cross hurting people?
I was very confused by that. And I didn't do too much research, but like, I go, I don't think that's a thing. Because first off, it's nighttime. There's no shadows.
Right. Right.
Second off, he just kind of shows it to them.
Right. He just like holds it up and they're like, oh, the shadow of the cross is going to hurt him. So he like holds it up and then like the shadow of the cross like sets him on fucking fire. Mm-hmm. I don't understand how this
even though he is still carrying this tombstone cross, which is not going to be fucking wood. Right. And after getting like impaled with a sword too,
right?
Moose is still carrying on, not saying anything anymore.
Right. Yeah, and then he eventually collapses, but in his valiant effort, the guy and the book lady managed to escape and get away, and then the witch lady finally like burns because they didn't like fulfill their sacrifice to Satan. So then Satan finally
aged.
So now she ages and then she burns, and that's it. I don't think I left out anything, right?
No. Do you want to go with my first thoughts?
Go for
it. My first thought was, this is an awful lot of work for the brother to get a girlfriend.
Dude, I don't know, man. Like the brother seemed very unconcerned. Like, oh, I guess she's been gone for 2 weeks. I'll go check it out, I guess.
Right. Like, this is all elaborate plot for him to get the girl. So his sister has to die. Moose has to die. Her grandfather that lived in this town his entire life, that she's only been there for 3 weeks, has to die, but yet she sells a bookshop. And it's all elaborate plot for the brother Dick to get a girl.
Well, I mean, because the book lady's obviously a genius. She opens up a bookstore in a town with like 10 people in it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Who like, and I'm guessing that none of those people will go into her shop because it's right next to the church. Right? So I don't think anybody even showed up in her shop. Like, why do you have a shop? What do you think you're gonna do?
I would also argue no one goes to the church.
Well, but I'm saying like they probably wouldn't go to the house right next to like touching the church either.
Right. Yeah, that's like I knew about this movie and I'm going through this like, okay, well, Nan dies, right, as she gets stabbed with the cake. I go, well, then Dick becomes the protagonist. This woman's just gone, and I go, oh well, I gotta find me a woman. All right.
Yep. Well, that hey, it's 1962. That's how plots work back then.
What were your first thoughts?
Yeah, I was just kind of shocked that it took people 2 fucking weeks to notice that she wasn't around. Again, like, I understand this is 1962, but there were phones.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm pretty sure that people still use them to like check in periodically. Like, if you had a boyfriend, like, again, I'm not saying you gotta call him every day. Like, if you're busy and you got shit going on, but like, I mean, once a week. They seem to be within like an hour of each other. So like, why weren't they like hanging out on the weekend? Or, you know what I mean? There's so many like open questions here. I'm like, why would it be okay that she's gone for 2 weeks?
Well, in fairness, he tried calling the inn and the operator goes, there's no such place. then he sends the cops to the place. There's no such place.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very confusing. It's not necessarily a bad movie. I'm just saying there's a lot of like, again, it might be just like a time difference, culture difference. Like
Mhm.
a lot of it didn't make sense to me, but I guess it was like that old timey gender role type shit.
It is.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I got. You want me to do my high points first here?
Sure.
All right. Superstition, fear, and jealousy. The intro to Dracula is from this film. I didn't know that, and I was watching it. And I'm like, I literally did the Nardo, in his recliner pointing at the screen, like, oh, exactly. I was like, oh, I know that. So I had to like stop and like listen to Dracula, like, yeah, that's it.
Yep, I did too.
Yeah, so I didn't know that before I watched this. Now I do. So if you were curious where the superstition, fear, and jealousy intro from Dracula comes from, that is this film. That is Christopher Lee giving the witchcraft lecture in the beginning of the
right.
Yeah, like again, Christopher Lee, like he's great in this film. He's not in it a whole lot, but he's great in it. And again, it's just amazing to me. He still looks old. Like he looks like he's 40. Like
I'm pretty sure he's younger than us right now when he made this movie.
Right, but he don't look it, man.
No.
He looks like he's 40 years old. And I'm like, how the fuck are you not younger than this?
Right.
But yeah, as he's almost young. He doesn't have all gray hair yet, so that's interesting.
Yep.
And then that just picture of kind of 60s life back then, just bizarre, interesting, but bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got.
All right. Yeah, obviously, Sir Christopher Lee, he nailed it. He has that same presence that fucking Vincent Price has in Peter Cushing. Like they're like the horror icons of the 30s through 70s are just astounding, and they command a presence. I think he does better than anyone else in this movie, quite honestly, for his limited screen time.
I was gonna say that's not saying much, but is correct. Yes.
I find it really interesting that so this is right after Suburbia, the new Christian revival that we had in America, and yet there's still a college that's teaching lectures on witchcraft, which is astounding to me.
Well, I don't think they were. I think this was like Christopher Lee giving personal lectures to people who were asking him. I don't think that was an actual class.
Which is still, like, I would feel in this time period, that would get shut down if people knew about it.
Not necessarily. I mean, it depends on how if you're teaching it as a professor teaching a subject, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. Now, if you were teaching it from a biased stance, saying like, good, bad, whatever, then yes. Then because you're not objectively teaching it, you're trying to indoctrinate people. And that's not good.
But considering Nan went to the town to write a paper on it, like you're not gonna write a paper or a thesis for some side lecture.
Well, I mean, but it could be she could have been a history student.
Maybe.
I mean, again, witchcraft, you can focus on witchcraft in other things. It's just that was her thesis, and that's why she was like in these.
Right, but I still
lectures.
think even for 1962, that's pretty interesting to even have that be there at a college.
Yeah, so I don't know. I would hope that there's learning and side learning and all that kind of stuff happening. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never really been to that traditional college place.
Right, but I think it's just interesting. And I think it's really interesting. This is a highlight and a low point. If this town of 10 people that practice witchcraft, that there's a fucking church and a graveyard crosses. Like, so did they sacrifice everyone that wasn't, a witch in the town first? And if they did, why are there crosses? But
I think the thing is they couldn't do anything about the crosses because it hurts them. So they had to just leave them there and avoid them.
But I'm just saying, it's just an interesting idea that there is we don't see anyone else in the town that's not a witch, let's face it. other than the priest. And
why the priest wouldn't like report back to the church going like, hey, yo, there's like
right.
evil shit going on here. Send down the fucking Pope strike team or whatever. Yeah, I don't know why he didn't do that. But
Right. But I'm like, it's interesting to see them really, essentially in the right sound, like side by side, which you think would not be the case. You think it'd almost be like a Wicker Man situation or Wicker Tree situation where it's like everyone. But I imagine they probably just had it though, just to go, yay, Christianity to triumph over evil.
probably.
At the end. Do we roll in my low points?
Go for it.
I don't like staying in small town hotels. I would not.
How many small town hotels have you been in that's like in somebody's house?
Like 2, and that's way
Really?
too many.
So like, did you go to like bed and breakfast things or something?
I've stayed at hotels where I go, I'm not sleeping under the sheets.
Oh Jesus! I've been to those.
Yeah.
I'm talking like they're like old timey like inns like this. I thought that was interesting.
Well, also, I don't think she needs, if it wasn't that far away, she didn't need to freaking stay there.
I don't know. Yeah, it seemed like they got there in an hour or two. It didn't seem like it took that long.
Okay, so when they're talking about witches in the past tense, and like those silly women, that's sexist, and they weren't silly women; they're empowered women. And
This is 1962. They didn't even know what that word was.
I know. I couldn't tell you what part of the country this movie was supposed to take place in. Obviously, it was shot in England, but like Nan and Dick had like, she had like the Midwest accent, and he's like full on New York. Listen,
Well,
see,
if it's witch burning, it's New England,
right? And then the boyfriend Moose was definitely Boston.
Most likely, sure.
Moose, I said, I think he's that dumb that he's sleeping on a couch with his tie on. That seems dangerous, especially for a guy with that few brain cells. Candlemas, Shadow of the Cross. I don't think those are necessarily things.
Yeah, I've never heard of them. I'm not saying they don't exist. I've never heard of it.
I feel like they just made shit up. The town of perpetual fog and darkness.
Fogtown, USA.
Everyone just stops and stares at you. Like, if you go into a town and you're on maybe the street, I couldn't tell if there's a street there or not, and everyone just stops and stares at you, get out. Just
like again, either one of two things has happened. Either you're having a psychotic break, or this is seriously fucked up. Either way, you should probably leave. You should probably get somewhere safe.
Yeah. Yeah. And I go, the priest sure knows a lot about the witchcraft rituals to do nothing about it.
Right. Like, I mean, again, talk to the Pope, man. Get some support or something.
There's a bird with a nail on the door. Oh, you're cursed. You're marked. Why do you know that?
Why he's an old man. Old man know things.
Well, I'm just saying, he seemed to know way too much about the witch cult to not be part of the witch cult.
Well, I'm saying, like, he's obviously knows what they're fucking doing. Why he hasn't reported this or done anything about it up until now, especially when his granddaughter is there, I have no idea.
Right. It's just like, people haven't been to church in 50 years.
Right. Like,
right.
Come on, dude. Do something.
Yeah. Like I said, and just the Shadow of the Cross at night, at the witching hour, which is debatable between 1 and 3 a.m. There's no Shadow of the Cross, man. God damn it. It annoyed me. And they're just burning. Okay, sure. I can go on forever. That's what I got, though. How about you?
Yeah, Fogtown, USA. It's goofy. You can tell it was like a sound stage somewhere. They just put fog machines so you couldn't see the stage. Yeah, again, those 60s like gender roles, man, that's rough. It's rough to see. I understand that's like how life was. I mean, it still doesn't. I'm still not comfortable with it, but like, it's just odd seeing. It's always odd watching old movies that are like that, Like
Yeah.
you watch old noir movies and you're like, wow, you just treat people like that? Like that's just does you just talk to women like that? Like that's fucked up.
Oh yeah, no one seemed upset that Nan was dead.
Right,
No
yeah.
one.
No one notices that she was even gone for 2 weeks. And
Yeah.
then like even when they find out she's dead, they don't really seem to care.
Yep.
Which is odd. And then yeah, I mean of course the whole God power, Satan bad, goofy shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously if these people had fucking powers, had the ability to do something and have been there for centuries, and this is all they've done with their power is run Fogtown, USA. Like, yeah, great plan, guys. But that's all I got.
I said also Moose's car was made out of he folded it up to get out of it.
It wasn't Detroit steel, is what you're saying.
Correct. I think it was made like I said, paper mache. It's like, oh man, I wrecked my car. Let me just push off the roof. Like, what? What is your car made out of? That's your problem, Moose. You ran into like a pebble and your car destroyed itself.
All right, so this week I just figured we do unused motel rooms because we have 3 movies with hotels and no one stays in any of these rooms.
Mhm.
Like all the rooms are empty. So we're doing unused motel rooms out of 10. So how many unused motel rooms out of 10 would you give Horror City, sometimes known as the City of
This is a tough one because this is the age of this is the sci-fi age, the atomic age of movies. So I'd say the more well-known ones were the atomic monsters, or the atomic creatures, and the like genetics are on like Wasp Woman, stuff like that. So I mean, I don't know if I've even heard of this movie until this. It's not bad. Like I said, Christopher Lee does raise it up an awful lot. But it's also not like a Vincent Price movie, which is like a set design and like rooms galore and houses galore. This is like 3 places in fog. So I will give this a solid 6 unused motel rooms out of 10. How about you?
Yeah, I'm floating right around there. I mean, it's not a bad film. It's just kind of odd. It doesn't really do anything like fancy. There's not a whole lot of like explanation as to why there's these giant plot hole kind of things happening. But again, it's interesting enough to watch at least once. I get 5.5. 5.5 unused motel rooms out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not mad I watched it.
It's not a terrible movie. It's nothing super special,
but if you want to impress your friends, you can sell horror hotel, and then they can talk about Dracula.
There you go. Tell them you know where the opening line of Dracula came from.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so moving on to Motel Hell in good old 1980. Take it away.
I'll recap it by saying it really, really fast. It is, what if Texas Chainsaw Massacre was an influence on this movie, and this movie influenced Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2?
Probably.
I mean, they flat out said Texas Chainsaw was a huge influence for this movie.
Yeah, obviously.
Right. So we are essentially, once again, very little time spent inside the hotel.
Correct.
But we are introduced to Farmer Vincent and his smoked meats with his sister, Ida, which honestly, when I first saw this, I didn't think that's his sister. I thought this was his wife.
Well, I knew they weren't in a relationship, but like, I don't even know if they're like clear that they're like brother and sister.
It's arguable with Bruce, Ida, and Farmer Vincent. They're all related.
But the whole relationship is fucking weird. Like,
is.
I guess we're breaking a little bit into the future, but like Bruce was like, "Oh yeah, I lived in this house till I was 11, and then I ran away, and then I became a cop and came back to hang out with everybody." Like, what?
Every day.
Right, like what the fuck are you talking about? Then why did you run away? Like none of this is explained. It's very odd. Like they never fully explain what the relationship of these people are and why they're there.
And that they're just essentially hate each other too. So,
Right.
essentially, we're introduced to the smoked meats from Farmer Vincent. He's going out seemingly hunting, and he sees a motorcycle crash between a quite older man and his. Did they determine wife?
At that time, yeah.
Okay, like I'd say 30 years younger
Correct.
wife. And they get into their tire kind of blows out, and he saves them. Well, one of them doesn't make it. The husband doesn't make it, and he's dead. And the woman just essentially goes out to Terry. She's like, "Hey, I brought you here. Yeah, your husband. Yeah, I buried him. Oh, okay. I'll stay here now."
Right.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
we'll talk about that, but like, yeah, I don't. That's it. That's all. That's all you get.
It is.
And like, oh yeah, he's dead. I buried him. And the fucking sheriff is like, oh really? Oh, you probably shouldn't have done that. Anyway,
Yep. Oh well.
like, does no one see this as odd?
Nope. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. This is the inspiration for Texas Chainsaw Massacre with the cop being part of it. Blah blah blah. Blah.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, the girl, like, the cop is there. The cop knows that she's there. Instead of going like, hey, we should get you to a hospital. Hey, do you have any family? Hey, shouldn't somebody that actually fucking knows you should take care of you? No, they live. Yeah, the guy who just buried your husband is going to take care of you.
Mm-hmm. And by the
Yeah.
way, we should go make out point.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So essentially, we get inklings of things of Ida and Farmer Vincent being up to weird stuff. Like we don't necessarily see him. I'll spoil it. He shoots the tire off of the motorcycle to cause this thing. But we get like psycho Norman, Bates relationship with each other, but also Texas Chainsaw Massacre with cannibals, all that shit, right? So essentially we get some stuff back and forth. We get Bob, the guy who's like the meat inspector for Vincent Smoked Meats, and he essentially goes there. He's like, "Oh, look, I found this, like, I'll call it a pot farm barricade."
Right.
Where it's like, there's something clearly here, but it's locked by this one key. Oh, well, let me just climb the fence. And essentially we find out that, let's spoil this now, that Ida and Vincent are harvesting people by burying them up to their neck, cutting their vocal cords so they can't speak, like they can make zombie noises, essentially.
Right.
So essentially it's then like Terry kind of getting in line with learning how things go, and she's just falling madly in love with Vincent, getting to know Ida, who is clearly more psychotic-esque of the two, and Bruce, the sheriff, who's going, we should go to this, we're gonna go see this drive-in movie. Cool. Oh look, make out point. Hey, everyone, get out of here. And then it convinces the drive-through theater to play the movie audio so they can watch through binoculars. And Bruce is just immediately smitten with Terry, whose husband died a day ago. And she, if you want to see like Stockholm Syndrome, like to a T, this is it. She just kind of gets into their way of things, to the point where, like, she eventually gets out to to the swimming hole with and goes tubing, because she kind of stakes it a little bit to maybe to the pot of, like, I guess, stew they're making. And she's like, oh man, tubes. Well, there's fingers floating in the pot, and I goes, you should go tubing. And they do, and I like tries to drown her because she's clearly jealous of Terry and her relationship with her brother.
Right.
Eventually they like, we have a couple more guests show up. We have the BDSM couple where the guy is like thinks that Vincent either are swingers and are going to join them in their kinky time. And when Vincent and I show up, oh man, we knew you were swingers. Oh man, you got some nitrous oxide? Yeah, it's laughing gas. And they eventually just put under and then also bury them in the yard. They also go to he also traps or like road spikes a what are you gonna call it? A fish wannabe band. I'm almost sad because the bong pops out of the lake later, right?
Right.
And they have like a bunch of people kind of in their garden that they're harvesting. Terry's being more spit with Vincent, and after the tubing accident, after Ida tries killing her, she tries to seduce Vincent. He goes, "No, ma'am, it's not proper. We ain't married." Oh, I guess we should. All right. Okay. It's been 2 days.
Right.
So that's gone there. Like he proposes, and then like Bruce finds out like from I'm gonna say this right now, a very phoned in Wolfman Jack performance.
But the fact that he's there is still fun.
It is, and don't get me wrong, it is still fun. It's like your brother's getting married to who? Terry. Oh man, almost that exact voice.
Just
so eventually they go there, and he's like, he's sick in the brain. He's got syphilis on the brain. He's like, no, I love him. All right, cool. So anyway, they like, they're with their crackerjack wedding ring that she has. That they pop a champagne, and I kind of like drugs her out so they can go start smoking the humans. They go, hey, you know what? We're humane here, so we're gonna put on a light show and like a laser light show at a planetarium and get them really disoriented, and then we will then pull slightly on the nooses around their neck and kill them, and then harvest them. Essentially, while that's going on there, I starts like cleaning them up and getting them prepped for the smoker. Eventually, Bruce comes back after his proclamation of love. Like he's sick. Yeah, you want to see what's really going on there? Takes Terry to the smokehouse. They're smoking humans, and then there's a fight. Bruce gets kind of knocked out. Terry gets like subdued with nitrous oxide after Vincent's like, I didn't want you to see it like this. I want you to bring it to my own world, my own terms. I heard you said you really like my ham. So eventually she gets onto a weirdly automated assembly line to a butcher saw.
a bandsaw.
Oh, it's a bandsaw, but butchers use that. But I'm like, I don't think it's really automated to get like the perfect cuts like that.
It's not. I mean, you can well, the funny thing is you can automate a bandsaw to like cut a big thing, but I mean, one, you don't want to do that,
right?
Because it's not going to cut right. But two, the quote unquote conveyor belt she was on did not have any kind of machinery hooked up to it. It was just a like roller.
Yeah.
So like the fact that she was moving in time to something was ridiculous.
Yeah. So eventually Bruce gets back up. Meanwhile, all the other people that were being harvested in the garden pull their way out and start attacking Ida with their sounds to everything. She's kind of overpowered, and then Vincent, Bruce is trying to save her from Vincent, who is now dressed in a pig head, and they have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 inspired by Chainsaw Fight.
Yes.
That's why I said this inspired Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And clearly not, the guy who plays Farmer Vincent under the mask, he gets kind of like impaled on the side. Bruce saves her, and Vince is like, I give you the farm and my secret garden. And like as her also, by the way, he's like, I also use preservatives. That was his big thing. He's like, I've been lying this entire time. Um, Bruce and Terry go to the secret garden and find Ida buried head first, still kind of alive. And the motel, as they leave, like, we gotta get out of here. Even though Bruce is also like, a cannibal and knows about this shit. And then the hotel sign blows up. I don't think I'm missing too much in that. That's important.
No.
It's a wacky movie. I will say that for sure. First thoughts, and like I'm trying to remember. So I'm trying to remember what this was a double feature on a DVD. And I have it. It was Motel Hell and something else.
And Maniac.
I want to say it was American Gothic.
Yeah.
But like if you read a lot about this, it's just kind of goes that this is people take it as funny, but it was never meant to be funny. Like the we'll get into it, obviously. The music kind of like makes it a comedy.
Yeah, but you can. I don't think. Yeah, they did not intend it. You can tell they did not intend it to be.
Oh no, they were playing everything as like on point.
Right.
Oh, it was Deranged in Motel Hell.
Oh.
The midnight movies that had the same thing as Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So,
wow.
I mean, what was your first thoughts on this?
I mean,
obviously you've heard of this.
I've heard of it. Yeah, I haven't watched it before, but I've heard of it. I mean, it's okay. I mean, there's a lot of things that just kind of like, skip logic into your brain. Like to me, it doesn't make sense, and that's what kept taking me out of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Was just there's so many things you're like, this, even in a comedy, this doesn't make sense. Like none of this makes sense. Like how is everyone okay with this?
Right.
And at first I was like, okay, the cop is in on it. That's why this is all happening, right?
Yep.
But then it's like the cop then becomes the protagonist. Like he didn't know about it. Like, okay, you said you grew up here and you left when you were 11. And now you're back and you're fine and eating the meat and everything. So why did you run away at 11? Like you kind of made it seem like you ran away because of what they were doing there. Yeah. But he never, again, it's very odd. And then he comes back and they're all friends. Like, is it his brother? Is it his kid? Like, they seem to it seems to be like interchanging. They're family in some way, shape. And it's so odd. I mean, again, you're a police officer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there is like at least 200 missing persons cases right next to your town.
Yep.
And no one has ever come a looking.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? No one has ever come looking for any of those people. Like, again, it's so out there.
Yeah.
So out there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Texas Chainsaw is like, they're in the middle of fucking nowhere. Like, you can't even find the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it makes sense that, and it shows in the movie, they actually made, attempts to, like, camouflage the cars and stuff, like, hide the stuff. So, like, they were actively trying to hide. Like, this one, they barely even do that.
Yeah.
It's just so odd. It's so odd to me.
Yeah. Oh, it is. Do you want to do my highlights first?
Go for it.
I mean, it's unhinged. I will give it that. It's very unhinged. I do appreciate that. I like, Wolfman Jack just kind of throwing it in. He's like, all right, I got my voice. Cool. Ooh, a nudie magazine. Awesome.
Well, this is also in 1980. And it was a Hustler magazine.
It was.
So that's a direct dig. Televangelist of the time who got caught with a fucking Hustler magazine.
Yeah.
After spending so many years railing against Larry Flint.
Mm-hmm. It's also unintentionally funny. This isn't funny for it to be funny. This isn't cheesy to be cheesy. Like, they did not mean for it to be cheesy, but it worked that way.
Right. And see, okay, now this is the movie. When I say the movies like Killer Clowns try to be bad on purpose, this is what they're aiming for.
Right.
They're trying to, but again, when you do it on purpose, it doesn't work. You can't be bad on purpose and still be funny. Again, well, this is my opinion here, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, if you intentionally try to make it as bad as possible, but like tongue in cheek, like, oh, look, I'm doing this on purpose. It fucking ruins it. It just ruins the entire film and makes the whole thing pointless. Like, again, to me, every time I see people doing that shit, all I hear is like Sharknado. You know, that genre of films of like people making intentionally shit movies on purpose with intentionally shit actors to try to like sell, like, look at this shitstorm, it's funny.
Right.
It's not. The ones that are actually funny are the ones that are done. They try to be serious and it's so fucked up that they're just hilarious.
Right.
That is what they're aiming for, and this is what the later, like I said, the late 80s get wrong about the early 80s. The late 80s do it on purpose because they think it's hilarious and intentional, and the horror fans just went that way instead of like trying to keep it serious like it was in the early 80s.
Right. Yeah. This is 1980.
Right. Like I said, this is in the era of this is being made seriously. It may be intentionally be hilarious where we're watching it, but they tried to make a serious, like, disturbing slasher kind of film here. And then, later on in the late 80s, they were just churning out shit on purpose and trying to convince people that it was great.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of this shit that I hate. Again, Killer Clowns is the pinnacle of that for me, of like just churning out intentionally bad shit because that's what people think is funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, my rant is over. But yeah, this is. I'm trying to say this is one of the original ones that they're trying to copy in the late 80s.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is the unhinged. I honestly feel, and this is also on here, like I feel like Tobe Hooper like took this movie as inspiration to show how, and then when he did number 2, show how stupid that really is. Right. I think because Texas Chainsaw 1 was a serious fucking movie.
Right.
And this kind of like was, what if Psycho meets Texas Chainsaw? And he goes, all right, cool. I'm going to ramp that up to the next level and just show how it became a parody of itself.
Right. But like 2 is, there's some funny parts and they're intentionally made funny, but the whole movie is just a fever dream. Like it's not, they don't intentionally make it bad to be funny. The whole movie is just fucked up. The whole movie is just, it's all over the place and it's intentionally ridiculous. But everybody is taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Like Dennis Hopper is taking his character very seriously. No matter how ridiculous that character is, everyone is still doing a bang up job in Texas and Chainsaw 2.
Right.
Again, I'm just
like I said,
saying some movies do it correctly. And I think, unfortunately, Tobe Hooper made a film that many people saw as the template of what they should be doing moving forward, when they should have seen it was satire and you should not move in this direction. That's what he was trying to say.
Right. Like I said, also the chainsaw scene inspired the Dennis Hopper chainsaw scene number 2.
Correct. Oh, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. And just, like I said, it's just weird. This is unhinged. Like, I'm being humane. I'm gonna show them like pretty UFOs. Like, okay, sure. Like I said, is that unhinged though? So, those are my highlights. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, Wolfman Jack, right? That's fun seeing him. You don't get to see him in too many things. Good old Ratzenberger is in this film too as a quote unquote punk. In a band called Ivan and the Terribles. That they like one of their van crashes, they end up in his head garden or whatever. But it's just funny. He's a very, very minor character, but it's funny seeing him like trying to be like a young punk. He's obviously in his 30s.
Well, it's also before House.
Oh, right. The head garden. I mean, it was interesting, right? Not a common thing to see, especially not 1980. Interesting. I mean, ridiculous, but interesting. But again, like just the nonchalant way that he was just butchering up bodies, right?
Yep.
Like no shame. There was no shame in anything he was doing at all. Like He understood that he had to hide it from people because they wouldn't get it. But like in his mind, he was totally fine.
Oh, as he said, he's like, there's too many people, not enough food. Therefore, I'm solving two problems.
Right.
Yeah.
And like again, there was they kind of like made reference, like a couple, like it was just the son insulting him at first, but I think they made another reference that like he had something, either he had something wrong with his head from the war, or he had like syphilis or something that was like affecting his brain.
I think it's implied that it's they said syphilis of the brain. I think it's implied is from eating people.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I don't know if there was something like intentionally wrong with him. They never went too far into that.
No.
I'm just saying it was interesting, just as like, yeah, it was played straight. Like he just nonchalant, just like, peeling off a piece of person to taste test it to see if it's good or not. Like very nonchalant, very just like, yep, I butcher people every day.
He didn't seem crazy.
No, not at all. He just seemed like he was doing the job. It's an interesting way to present it, right?
Yeah.
Usually it's like presented as like this terrifying scene, and it was just like, yeah, okay, not bad. A little bit, put it back in a little bit of smoke. Like it was like that was it. That was the whole thing. And then I mean, I guess that pig head chainsaw duel. I don't know what the fuck that was, but it was definitely something. I was laughing the whole time. So I mean, it did something right. I don't think it was trying to make me laugh, but it did. So I enjoyed it. That's about it for high points. Yeah, low points. Yeah, burying a body before the medical examiner even looks at it. Like, it's not like we're back in the 1800s. Like, somebody has to look at the body and declare it dead. Like, that's a thing that's we've had to do for a very, very long time, at least the entire century before that. You know what I mean? Like, why the cop is just like, yeah, okay, we'll just leave it there. Like, no, that's not legal at all. Again, oh yeah, we'll just leave this girl in his care. Like, again, like, isn't there no family? Even if there is no family, she should be in a hospital. She was involved in a serious accident. She's obviously confused. Why would she not be in a state hospital? I'm just like, why would you leave her with some like random person? And again, that's why at first I was like, this cop has to be in on it. Like, it doesn't make sense otherwise. And he's not in on it, and it just doesn't make sense. It's just plain as that. That's it. The Ivan and the Terribles, the one guy in that band had a beard. And it was like one of the worst fucking fake beards I've ever seen. Like, it didn't even look like it was made of hair. It looked like it was made of felt that they like taped to his face. It was that bad. It was, and they showed it from quite a lot of different angles, and like a lot of times, like it was very bad, and they just had no shame. It sucked. The music. Now the music is it is so bad and misplaced that it's very noticeable. Now it goes back between like, it's always kind of got a country theme to it, but it goes between like action adventure movie and then like sappy romantic movie. Like, those are the only two versions of the music, and neither one of them fit this film at all. Like, neither one of those fit in here, but somehow they like intentionally made it to be that way. Like when they're like, the guy's like chasing a woman to capture her, to slaughter her for food. It's like action adventure country music playing.
Yep.
It's like, that does not fit. It's again, like you said, it's a very unhinged movie that doesn't fit together. Like, the puzzle pieces don't quite fit. It's just odd. It's an odd thing to watch. Yeah, the swingers, like, dear God, I mean, I know they were intentionally just trying to make them as weird as possible, but like, it's interesting seeing what was like the weird of the weird in 1980, which is like fairly normal now. Like, it's not all that, odd now. I don't know. It was interesting.
Lift me up.
Yeah, it was something. The thing I did not like is that, okay, they buried them in the ground and they cut out their vocal cords, but they didn't give them fucking lobotomies.
Right.
Why are they like acting like zombies? Like, why did no one go for help? Why did no one get a phone? Why did no one pick up a weapon? They're all like crawling after him, moaning with their, like slapping at him with their bare hands. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, you're not zombies. Like, you were just people that were buried. Like, yeah, you might not be like emotionally stable because you've been buried in the ground for a couple of days, but like, I'm pretty sure you can still like function, like use a weapon or run away, get a car, find a gun, call the police, something. I mean, I guess they can't talk, but at least they could have like dialed 911 and screamed in the phone. They would have figured it out.
Gurgling zombie
Right.
vocals. Yes.
Yeah, I was just very odd. I was just like, why are they acting like zombies? Like, are they trying to pretend like they are zombies? I was so confused. Okay, that's all I got. What do you got?
I said before, unsanitary meat.
Unsanitary meat.
The dude, like, okay, first and foremost, he's selling like a pound of meat, of smoked meat for like $2. He also has like 15 pigs in his meat shack, right? That's a lot of pigs to do essentially nothing with. So I just, the idea of just keeping that there, the idea like, okay, we're bearing humans, right? We're gonna feed them like giant gerbil feeder stuff, right? What constitutes as being done? Not moving for a couple of days? I don't understand why the head garden exists.
Well, and again, like a couple of times they said, "Oh, looks like this one's done," and then they just left them buried there. Like they never took them out. Again, it's very odd. Like they keep talking about it, but they don't seem to ever do it.
Right. It's not like they're dry aging people.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with the gurgling stuff. Like, first off, that was really annoying throughout the entire third act of it, just the gurgles and stuff like that. And they said they're acting like zombies. That's why I said the gurgle zombie sounds, because they're like Dawn of the Dead zombies, but they're not zombies. They're people that have been in a hole for a couple of days.
Right. That's as I'm saying. Like, I mean, if I was in that situation, I would rather run the fuck away.
Correct.
Get to the police. Figure it out from there.
Yeah. The way that Bruce was maybe part of it, but also protagonist, once again, it just seemed like this is a way for Bruce to have Terry. That's the plot of this movie. Bruce to get Terry.
I guess. I don't know. It's very odd.
Right. Like, he knew what he was doing.
Sure.
And we discussed it before. Ham. Terry liking his ham and saying that was a mixture of pig and people. Ham is not made that way.
I know. I was thinking the same thing. Like, okay, ham is a cut of pork that is smoked whole.
Yep.
Like, there's no mincing or grinding in ham. So like, how you could have human and pork mixed ham doesn't make sense. My headcanon was like, okay, he minced everything together and then made it ham shaped. And then is calling it ham, but it's like you can slice it like a ham, but it's really just ground meat.
Deli meat.
Yeah, I guess. I don't fucking know. I was like trying to figure out how that would possibly work. That's as close as I got.
Right. Yeah, it just reminded me a lot of the Christopher Reeve Tales from the Crypt, where they have Judd Nelson in the freezer. They're cutting chops off of him. Here's the tenderloin. That's not like a cut that you can just mix. And quite honestly, Terry, first off, her husband's dead, and she just fucking stays. And has no problems being naked in front of Bruce, is ready to marry Vincent in the blink of an eye. Why the hell is she staying there? Why is she there? She has no purpose of staying there. Makes zero sense.
I mean, I know. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't make sense how she even ended up there. It doesn't make sense why she stays.
Right.
The whole thing doesn't. Again, the whole plot of this film, time and time again, just stops making sense. And never really gets to a point where you can make sense of it. It just continues to not make sense.
Yeah. Yeah, like, as soon as you think you know it, it just throws something else at you. You go, wait, what about the last thing? Oh, forget, that was the last scene. Now you get to watch I eat whipped cream on a chicken leg.
Right. Right.
I go, but no. Now forget it. All right. Is Terry in a better place with Bruce? I don't know. I feel like they're going to keep doing the hotel and the farm the way the movie worked. It seems like.
Right.
Like, I don't think Bruce is going to stop doing what he's doing. I think he's just going to take it over. So maybe the bad ending. I don't know. So that's what I got.
All right. So, Motel Hell, 1980, unused motel rooms out of 10. I mean, it's not a bad movie. It's interesting to watch. I don't really want to watch it again, right? But it is definitely an interesting watch, at least the first time, for sure, right? I don't know. Did I like it more than the Horror Hotel, or
I did.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I'm gonna a 5. I'll give it just a middle of the road 5. I don't know what to think about this movie. It doesn't make sense, but there's some interesting things to it. So.
Yeah, like I said, this is like that. Like I said, I said it a million times. It's like the middle ground between Texas Chainsaw 1 and 2. Right? It wasn't as gritty, but it was like goofy in the right ways of 80s horror. And like I said, you have to see it at least once, probably twice, to try to wrap your head around the what the fuck moments from the first time watching it.
I don't think twice is gonna fix that.
But it's unique enough. There's not really been anything else like it.
I said, it's worth watching one time, but it's not something that I would go back to.
So like I said, I think it's slightly better than Horror Hotel. So I will give this 6.5 unused motel rooms out of 10.
All right, moving on to just the greatest one of this list for sure.
This is the easiest
fucking
recap.
Clown Motel 2023. Now, the funny thing is as stupid as the fucking name Clown Motel is, there's like 10 fucking movies called Clown Motel. And they're all bad. They're all like terrible production quality, and I'm including this one in that. And they're just terrible films. Anyway, I will preface this by saying the Clown Motel is a real place.
In Nevada, yeah.
In Nevada. It is a, like, I guess kind of touristy destination. You can go and stay in the fucking world famous Clown Motel. That is the only thing true about this movie. The rest it is filmed at the actual fucking Clown Motel. Or at least some of it was.
Yes.
And it just, yeah, I don't even fucking know. Tobin Bell is in it. I feel very bad for him being in this. I'm gonna try to get my way through this plot. It doesn't make any fucking sense, but
it doesn't.
I'm gonna try to struggle my way through this. Okay, so what we're doing, we're going back to Wild West days. Okay. This area was in control of this tribe of Indians called the Greasewoods, which is like the worst name for a fictional Native American tribe I've ever heard. Like, a greasewood is a plant that's commonly found in that area, but that was not the Native American name of the plant. That is the, white man's name for that plant that they got later. So why would the Native Americans name themselves the Greasewoods? It doesn't make sense. Anyway, that's just one of many points that bothered me about this film. So, as the, military did back then, but again, they made a point later on in the film to say that he wasn't working for the government at this time. He was working for the Pinkertons. The Pinkertons were a detective agency. They weren't a federal group. So he was working for them to clear out space for a railroad. And there was this tribe of Native Americans that were in this area. And he had to get rid of them. That was his job. So he went there and just killed them all. He lured them in saying that, oh yeah, we'll buy your land off of you. And then they just killed them all. Men, women, children, killed them all. That apparently created some kind of vengeful ghost that I guess you could kind of sort of roughly claim is painted like a clown. Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, again, not really, but they're really stretching the clown is real thing. And they're trying to say that this ghost creature has somehow been mistaken for a clown, and that's why the clown is real. That's as close as I got to trying to make sense of what that has to do with a fucking clown motel. So anyway, that vengeful ghost comes back with like the worst special effects I have seen in a modern film. With like this electric sword. I don't know where he got that sword from, because it said later on that it was the dude's sword, but he just killed the dude with that sword and he still had his sword. So I don't know where the fuck this other sword came from.
Let's call it what it is: the Ghostbusters Proton Pack Stream Sword.
Right. Well, yeah, whatever. It's
And
like,
his mouth,
again,
yeah.
it's just shitty looking stuff. I don't know what the fuck is with the mouth. Holy cats. I don't know who they kept doing it.
I don't know.
It's like one of the worst effects I've ever seen, and it's constant. It's painful to watch.
Mhm.
So, okay. So this ghost wipes out the whole Pinkerton group that are dressed like Union soldiers, and kills them all. And of course, they have to like close up on the sword, and the sword says CSA, Confederate States of America, which did not get marked on swords, but whatever. I guess they're trying to make a point here, right? So somehow that sword is like doubled and becomes an evil sword, whatever. Fast forward to the future. The Clown Motel is now on that same piece of land. Tobin Bell is the owner of the Clown Motel. And that's basically, we don't really see him much in this film.
No.
I will explain one scene that he's in, and that's basically his only conversation, a real conversation that he has in the film. There's two of them. One with the older mom, and then one with the younger daughter. Right? I don't even think they're daughters. They're like
Granddaughter.
aunt, grand, whatever.
Yep.
Anyway, so now in the present time period, the Greasewood Native Americans are working at the Clown Motel. So the grandma is like the housekeeper of the hotel, and the granddaughter is now coming back from college, and she's going to write her college paper on this land, and she's trying to find information to basically give the land back to her people so they can make it a memorial for all the people that were killed. Tobin Bell obviously doesn't like that because that means he has to give up his clown hotel, which makes him money, I guess.
Want to go in my cellar? No,
Yeah.
you don't. I'll get shut down.
Right. So she's like, oh yeah, I remember when I was playing as a kid, there was like this box with a bunch of old documents in it. Can I go down there and look at it? And he's like, no. Bye. That's the conversation.
Yep.
That is the conversation that Tobin Bell has. There's one that he has like, with the grandma, where he goes, oh, if I ever sell this hotel, I'll tell them they have to hire you. Like that's all she gets. Like that's it. That's the one conversation. The second conversation he has with the girl, where he says like, yeah, this is my hotel. I'm not selling it, and I'm definitely not going to give it to you as a memorial. So like, walk out the door.
Yep.
Cheese it. That's it. That's Tobin Bell's entire contribution to this film. There's one like minor contribution later on where he like hits the ghost with a bat, and then immediately just leaves the film after that. Like he just doesn't even participate in the fight anymore. He's just gone.
To the camera, pants around. He's not even there anymore.
Right? Yeah, he's just gone. He just leaves the film like maybe he was on break and they just kept filming. I don't know. Anyway, so the Greasewood people, I guess, book these big bachelor parties, and they get some kind of bonus or commission for doing so, and bring them to this Clown Motel. So they bring in this group of like the worst kind of corporate executive people you can think of, and they throw in one woman for flavor, I guess, and she's like terrible. So anyway, so it's like this guy, I think there's 3 dudes and 1 lady, right?
Yeah, stag party.
Yeah, stag party. So they have like the stag party involves them going to a casino and then coming back to the Clown Motel with a waitress / stripper that they found in the casino, who only goes into the groom's room, and everybody else just splits up after that. the worst stag party I've ever seen. But
Mm-hmm.
okay. So anyway, so that's what they do. They go to the casino, they come back, and then they basically get like one by one picked off by the same fucking ghost that killed off the soldiers in the beginning.
Who only screams the proton pack energy.
Right.
Ghostbusters.
No, and again, all these kills are fucking horrible. I don't know who did the effects of this film, but it looks like they had like a quarter budget.
Well, I'm just saying, I looked it up. It was a $3 million budget.
Wow.
And
I'm surprised it's that much.
$4,800.
Yeah, I'm not. That's correct. That's about how much I would think they would make back. But I'm surprised it was that big of a budget because those effects are horrible.
In fairness, probably all went to Tobin Bell. So.
You know what? It's probably went to the people to let them film at the Clown Motel and to Tobin Bell. That's it.
And Richard Grieco, just probably a ham sandwich.
All right. Yeah. I don't know. So anyway, so yeah, it kills them in these dumb, stupid fucking ways. One by one kills all the bachelor party people. Blah blah blah.
Scalping a magical sword through her bed that bisected the guy and then didn't even touch the ribcage, just pushed it open.
Right. Yeah, it's bad effects, stupid death, whatever. And then we somehow learn that the rest of the Greasewoods, the granddaughter, of course, waits until Tobin Bell leaves, goes into the cellar, and then immediately starts narrating her breaking and entering. And then there's like this other clown ghost that's around that
does nothing.
It's just there to be creepy. I don't understand.
I think literally, yeah, Grieco, he dances with it. It turns his head. It's in the background. It's in the cellar. And then proton pack mouth shows up and it's gone.
Right. And then it doesn't come back. It's pointless to be there.
Except for the last scene where Tobin Bell sells the place.
Right. Yeah. So and then she gets then knocked out and locked in the basement. And then the rest
minutes,
and the rest of the Greasewoods are in this church that they own in a town. And they're like doing a ritual. Now, here's the part that really loses me. What are they doing?
Well, they had enough people killed from the previous opening scene of the 5 people at the saloon. And then they're trying to go kill Tobin Bell to get the last totem filled of the 7 to reclaim the land from the Jacra demon vengeful spirit.
Okay, right. But they keep talking about how they're trying to stop this guy from killing.
Mm-hmm.
But he's killing anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing that they're doing is having any effect on anything.
Oh, this tome was filled. Oh man, there's one more left to go. And then, oh, I guess he stopped.
But they make a point of talking about how this horrible murders happen like this all the time, every couple of years. So have they been trying to do this and they keep failing?
I call that plot the clickbait for the sequel plot.
I'm just saying, it doesn't make sense what they're doing. No. You're doing a ritual for what? The vengeful spirit is on your side.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you trying to stop him? Or why are you trying to help him?
And what are you doing other than staring at candles?
Right. I'm very confused as to what the point of this ritual is or what they're even trying to accomplish here. It doesn't make any sense.
Correct.
But anyway, so the girl, the granddaughter in the basement, finds the sword, which again, the ghost already has the sword.
Mm-hmm.
But now she finds the same sword again. Mm-hmm. Because they show the guy bringing the sword to the church. They show the sword at the church. And then she finds another one in the basement.
Yes.
So there's 2. It doesn't make it. I don't know if that was just a fuck up or if there's supposed to be 2.
She has 2 at the end.
Right, she does. Because
I will say that when we get to the point is that, when she stabs with it, all of a sudden, as they're floating through the sky, she has a second one in a different location in his body.
Right. I don't know.
I was confused by that.
There's so many things where what the fuck is happening?
Yes.
Anyway, so the ghost is killing everybody. She finally makes it out of the basement,
mm-hmm.
and then tries to fight the ghost. She gets like knocked over at first. This is where Tobin Bell makes his other appearance. He shows up like in front of the ghost, and then the camera pans around, and then he's behind the ghost without the ghost moving. And then he hits the ghost with a bat. The ghost does not react in any way. The camera pans away and he disappears from the film.
Yes.
He's just gone. He's no longer there, no longer involved in the scene. And then the girl like has like a final stand fight with the ghost where she kills the ghost, but then somehow becomes the ghost. And now she's the vengeful spirit ghost, but she has two swords now.
And she can speak English to tell people to get out of the church.
Right. So then she goes back to the church and then like screams and jumps at them as if she's going to kill them. Why?
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
And
like,
then Tobin Bell sees the ghost clown doll turn his head like, I'm going to sell for $1.
Right. Like, okay, you would rather sell the hotel for $1 than give it to the natives who've been asking for it for forever. Why? I'm sure they could come up with $100. You know what I mean? I'm sure they could come up with something better than $1. Like, you would go out of your way to sell it to another like white dude for $1 rather than give it to these people when it's their ancestral land.
Right. And then we have, let's call San Fran cop meets, hey, yo, I'm the New York cop here. Crime scene investigation of these murders that keep happening nonstop.
Yeah, like, there's murders happen out here at this Clown Motel all the time. It's weird, huh?
Chalk it up to another cold case.
I guess. Why do people keep fucking coming to the Clown Motel then?
This is a line from the movie. What? You ain't got this in New York City?
Right. New York City?
Unsolved ghost murders? No.
I don't know. This movie, I don't know if you got it from my description, is fucking terrible. That's my first impression. It's just a fucking terrible film. I mean, it's terribly made, it's terribly acted, it's terribly constructed. The effects are fucking terrible. Sometimes it's laughably bad, but not in a fun way. In a way where it's like, holy shit, I can't believe they actually left that like that. Again, I don't know. I feel so bad for Tobin Bell being in it. I feel so bad. Like, he just made Saw 10, right?
Yep.
Why did he do this movie? I understand it was probably like one day of work and he probably got a bunch of money, but like, dude, you got a reputation, you know?
My first thought was an apology to you for making you watch this movie. Now I had never seen this movie, but when I was researching the clowns, the hotels motif that we had for October, I go, oh, Clown Motel. It has both. How bad could it possibly be? I recognize names in here. And I was mistaken.
Oh, yeah. Clown Motel, sometimes known as the curse of the Clown Motel. I don't know why. But
arguably made in 2016 and 2023 at the same time.
Well, the one in 2019 is a different movie.
I'm saying 2016.
Well, this is one of them. But the one that I I went to like Amazon and I said, find me Clown Motel. And it found me a movie called Clown Motel. And it was, it's for free. I'm like, cool. I started watching it and I'm like, this production value is so fucking low. There's no way this is the movie he wants me to watch.
Is that the Ghost Hunters Go to the Clown Hotel series?
It's like, I don't know. It's Clown Hotel. The picture is like a guy with like a clown wig, punching the camera. Or whatever.
So there's like 7 movies set in Clown Motel, just so you're aware.
I'm sure, but they're all just called Clown Motel. There's no differentiation between the names.
They are. Yeah, that was my first thought. Is just like, I'm trying to watch this. I go, I don't want to watch this. Which is rare for me to do in a movie, like extremely rare. But I'm just going, yeah, apparently this is how we end the month.
Yeah, I was like, I'm watching the 2019 one. I watched like maybe the first 5 minutes. I'm like, there's no fucking way that this is the movie I'm supposed to be watching. This movie is so fucking bad. So I turned it off, and that's what I asked you. I'm like, which fucking Clown Motel am I supposed to be watching? Like, I'm guessing Tobin Bell, because I'm sure you saw Tobin Bell, and you're like, let's do that one. I'm sure.
Yep. Oh,
And
easily.
I'm like, okay, I found that one, which was not the same. But again, I turned it on, and 5 minutes in, I'm like, I think this has the same production value. This movie's fucking terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so highlights. I will jump into my highlights here. Or do you want to do your highlights first?
You can go first.
All right. I found out that the Clown Motel is a real place. I did not know that before this film. Not that I would care, because I would never fucking go to the Clown Motel because I don't like clowns. Now, I'm not scared of clowns. I just don't like them. I don't see the point of them. I just don't like the idea of clowns. When you're a kid, sure. As an adult, stay away from me. I don't like it. But yeah, I found out it was a real place. That's interesting, right? The bachelor party people died. That was good. Like, please kill them, stop them, because that subplot was horrible and I needed it to end. Again, now I'm putting Tobin Bell on the good side here. With the side note of, like, one, he's only in the film for 5 minutes, and two, this is the worst performance I have ever seen from him. No
Arguably,
joke.
though, the best performance of the movie, though.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. Like, the worst performance I've ever seen from Tobin Bell. He's only in the movie for 5 minutes, and he's still fucking better than everybody else, which is saying a lot about the quality of this fucking movie. That's all I got. What do you got for high points?
Wow, I have the same highlights.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Tobin Bell. I like Tobin Bell. Like he was in a different movie than everyone else.
Right.
Hands down. I knew about the Clown Motel. I wanted to stay at the Clown Motel. Also, it does have a killer clowns from outer space hotel room, which I want to go to and stay in that one. It's in the
I'll
middle.
go there and fucking burn it down.
It's in the middle of fucking nowhere, though. So, I'm like, I've known about this for a couple of years, and I'm like, I kind of want to go there. And I guess I could throw one here. Sure, vanilla. Why not? That's what I got. I will loan to my low points, and I had to take up space from my other movies for my low points. Proton pack mouth and sword. It looks like the Ghostbusters proton pack from 1984, but applied to a movie in 2023.
Right. Okay. Now I'm gonna cut in on you. This is my low point, but I'm gonna bring it up right here. The mouth is so bad that if you look in his mouth, you can clearly see 2 rows of teeth. You can clearly see his normal teeth and then the fake teeth that are put in front of it to try to give him like a Joker looking smile. And then they put like you said, the Ghostbusters like proton line in his mouth, but it's not even like in the center of his mouth. It's like they tried to put it between the 2 rows of teeth, but it doesn't work there. And then sometimes he screams and then the light goes in the center of his mouth and then sprays out like a firework and then comes right back in and sits in that one line in his mouth.
Yes, because the mask, the clown mask he's wearing, he is essentially his jaw is jutted out from the rest of his face, like he's wearing an actual mask.
Right.
Yeah. Not locking your PC. Tobin Bell, you should know better. The fact that the girl, I guess protagonist, gently taps on the door to unlock it. You go, just like I've always done. My old tricks work. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Is your old tricks opening a door?
Oh, the old doorknob trick works every time.
She just like gently knocked on it like twice and it opened. Like, no, please stop. I said gentle tapping on doors to not unlock them. This is the exact words I wrote. I'm gonna go with the opening of the movie because my God, if he didn't get those Wrangler jeans from Target,
dude, that's what I'm saying. Like they didn't even try. Try to make him look old.
No.
Like it's like everybody is looking like they got haircuts from 2024. Like everything is like very, very modern looking, and like it's so bad. It is so bad. Like they didn't even try.
I'm like,
Got a bunch of extras and gave him a shirt, and that was it.
I have jeans in my closet that look fucking older than those jeans.
Right. Like, it doesn't take much to make it look like you can wear like an old pair of dress pants or something. Anything would make you look more Wild West than those things.
Yes. For this abandoned cellar, sure have every light on for some fucking reason.
Right.
I guess as we see the spooky clown doll that does nothing.
Yeah, that spooks around behind her. That's all it does.
And also, first and foremost, the museum that exists in the real Clown Motel that's above it isn't very big. She sneaks around it and makes loud noises from a guy who's like literally 2 feet away and doesn't notice her. Now, once again, it's Richard Grieco. He's probably coked out of his mind. That makes sense. But the rest of it, like, oh, I'm clumsily climbing down the cellar ladder, closing this door. You're still 2 fucking feet away from somebody. And also, all of a sudden, you hear footsteps above you. Like, that cellar was huge in comparison to the museum above it.
Well, the funny part was they said, "Oh, I sealed up that cellar." So him sealing it up was putting a rug over the top of the trap door. I sealed it up. Like, I don't think that's gonna pass inspection, dude.
Okay. This is a really big pet peeve, but okay. So he has clocks of time around the world. Now, unless you're in a special part of Canada where you're 30 minutes difference, the minute hand is the same around the world. It's not in this movie. All times are completely different on every clock that's for Sydney, Australia, for Nevada, for all these other time things. Like, none of them match up to what the time's actually supposed to be. I'm like, all right, I'm waiting for the second hand to move. I'm like, oh, wait, it is moving. So someone incorrectly set the times on and didn't care. I care though. There's just, like I said, there's just so much wrong that she has one sword. She stabs him, I would say, right underneath the rib cage, right on his left side. As they're floating through the sky, all of a sudden she has a different sword that isn't impaled through him in his left shoulder blade.
Yeah, it's just like resting on his shoulder.
But yet she stabbed through, but the sword doesn't come through, just the proton pack beam does for both of these. And why is she the ghost of the people that are making these totems? Why is she going after the people in church? Why is she speaking English and get out? And why is she able to high wire fly to them to do what?
Right.
I don't know the end goal.
I don't know what any of this goal. I don't understand what the whole plot of this film is.
I don't like that we have San Francisco detective meets New York detective to talk about this crime scene to set up that, like, I can't believe they're doing this. Like, we haven't seen you before. Why are you here? Why is the movie not ended?
Why are we still getting more characters? Please stop.
Right. And like, the guy was like bisected through the bed. The bed's pristine. Oh, except for the blood.
That's not pristine. Do you understand what pristine means?
Right. I think he was alluding to that his great detective work is that he was killed from under the bed and bisected that way. But if there's no cuts in the bed, you'd throw that out and go, well, clearly, I guess you can't bisect people from two sides. Someone could just easily gone over him.
I don't know.
And when the guy was crawling out of his, quote, rib cage, from his point of view, you see his rubber claws from Spirit Halloween not touching the sides of the rib cage as he's pushing out. I'm just like, what the fuck is going on here? And for a guy who was scalped, not even fully scalped, just shittily scalped, he had just like the cleanest blood trail around him. It's like not even on his arm. And I'm not entirely certain, but I'm pretty sure you don't die from a scalping.
Well, you can. But a lot of people did survive them.
Right.
You see a lot of old timey like Wild West pictures of guys with like skull caps because they've been scalped.
Yeah. And my God, the casino scene was just atrocious. Like, I would say that the woman banker, she's like, oh, oh, she's eating naked. Nope. My stomach. And then the part to that point is, when you have bad special effects or practical effects, why don't you just throw blood onto the camera to hide the fact that you have shit kills?
Yeah,
Every kill had blood going onto the camera.
Yeah.
Why? Because that's what the digital effects free program does.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say that's like iMovie. That's what it does. You click the blood button and it squirts on the screen.
Having used that for stupid shorts is one thing. For something that supposedly costs $3 million to do, fuck off.
Yeah, I don't know where that money went. I think somebody just pocketed it all and gave him like $5,000 to work.
Was this a Yui Bowl movie?
Yeah. Shit.
I could go on forever about this movie. Why don't you go and your low points though?
I'm gonna try to keep it short, but yeah, like you said, the beginning, the historically inaccurate. I can't even start to describe all the things that are historically wrong with that scene. But yeah, I'm just gonna say historically inaccurate.
Mm-hmm.
Period. The entire thing, not like little bits and pieces. I'm nitpicking. The entire thing is just period. Done.
Yes.
Yeah, the 2 rows of teeth looked so fucking bad because you can tell they tried to give him like a Joker smile.
Mm-hmm.
And they just glued another like jaw onto his face to try to make the Joker smile look real, and they didn't even bother covering up his other teeth.
Yep.
It was so bad. Yeah, he didn't look the part at all. And the FX were very, very bad. I mean, the mouth we already talked about. The blood is horrible. The electricity is stupid as shit. The fucking intestines scene with like the lady that is like, come on. It looked like aluminum foil with fake blood on it. That's how bad the intestines look.
I think my intestine scenes I did for this last movie were better than that.
You take pig intestines and fill them full of fucking Jello, and they would have looked better than that. That would cost you like a whole 30 cents.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me it was money. I mean, the fucking gunfire, like the couple of guns they did shoot, was like they sounded like cap guns.
Mm-hmm.
Like didn't even like you can use that effect. It's in the same program with the blood splatter. Come on, man. Yeah, she breaks into the cellar like after, quote unquote sneaking into the cellar, right? The second her feet touch the ground, she's narrating her entire experience at a normal volume.
Yes.
Like, do you not realize that people are gonna fucking hear that? Like, are you fucking retarded? You're literally narrating a crime.
Are you saying that cellars have wide gaps in the floor that you can see through typically? That people would be able to hear you through?
It was so bad. The bachelor party acting. Oh, fucking shit, dude. Those scenes were so fucking painful. I mean, just painful. And that woman, I think they were trying to like sell her as, oh, I'm a sexy corporate lady. She just looked like she was old and tired. They picked her up off a street corner in Nevada. That's what she looked like.
Hey, she's an Albanian superstar, all right?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and again, she's got this weird accent. You can barely understand what the fuck she's saying. I was like, just get her off the fucking screen.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so bad. Now, when she finds that fucking, quote unquote, old timey notebook in the basement, it's a brand new journal.
Mm-hmm.
Brand new journal, crisp white pages with words that were obviously written that day in like super black ink. They didn't even bother trying to age it in any way.
In fairness, when we had the flashback that you're writing, his pen was nowhere near the pages. So yeah.
Well, yeah, he was just wiggling the pen in the same spot, not even moving it like he was writing it. But like the prop is again crisp white pages. Like again, she tried to open it up and she was having a hard time even bending it open because it's brand fucking new. And then the ink on the pages is like obviously done that day. This was supposed to be a journal that's over 100 years old.
Well, we also didn't need to see him writing in every journal. He should just been open it, and then we have the voice narration. But I think the guy wanted more screen time, so they're like, all right, do you know how to write a notebook? Yeah, I do.
Like the wires? What the fuck was the point of that? Like they put them in harnesses. They're very clearly visible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are you like flapping around off the ground? Like, you could have easily done this on the ground. Is that where $2 million went? Was like the wire harness rental?
I
just
could probably get guys to do it for $15.
no shit. It looked like they just took like a fucking crane and just hung him from a crane. Yeah, it was again. We already talked about the pointless clown monster. I don't know what the fuck that was all about. I wrote down what the fuck were they even doing in the church? Because at the end of the film, you're like, what? Yeah, none of it makes any sense.
Sequel.
Yeah, none of this makes any fucking sense. And again, I was like, is there a sequel? And there is a lot of movies called Clown Motel too. I don't think they're sequels to this film. I think there's sequels to the other Clown Motels.
The Ghost Paranormal Investigators, the 5th one's coming out in 2025. So.
Dear God. Who the fuck keeps giving these people money that they keep making this shit? That's what bothers me.
I don't know. They need to give me money instead.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like, some of these horror people have no fucking taste, and they keep feeding money to these people making this shit. And this is why people keep making shit, is because you keep giving them money. Stop giving them money. Sorry. So Clown Motel 2023. Yeah. So we'll start with you. How many unused motel rooms out of 10 would you give the Clown Motel?
God damn this movie. I'm just looking at this and going, not saying how much money have movies have made that I've been part of, but it's more than this movie. This movie is like, I don't know how they thought they got Tobin Bell, quite honestly, other than the $7,000 a day rate they paid for Tobin Bell to be there for the one day. This is one unused motel room out of 10. I cannot watch this again. Cannot suggest it to anyone.
Yeah, I don't see any group of people that would want to watch this, unless you're like the kind of people. If you're the person who watched Sharknado and like honestly liked it, you might like this movie. You might like it. It's about as dumb as that. But yeah, like there's no one that I would ever say you should watch this film. Even people I don't like, I would not tell them to watch this movie, because I don't want these people to get any kind of streaming numbers to like think that this is a good movie enough to make another one. Don't do it. But I don't know. It's got to be really low. I don't have the list to try to like feel this out. So I'm just gonna say, 0.03.
Okay, so it's better than The Fog.
Yeah, sure.
The remake, because The Fog was 003.
Well, The Fog angered me a lot, because The Fog, not only was it a terrible shit movie, but it also pretended to be a remake of another far superior movie. That was what really angered me.
Yes.
It was a shit movie, like masquerading as a better movie. This one is just a terrible shit movie. So.
Like I said, it's not often when the movies I pick get to me. This movie, it got to me.
Yeah, it's not good.
No.
Okay. Anything else you want to add to Clown Motel?
No, we need to end this chapter.
All right, our October Spooktacular has finally come to an end. I can't say it will be missed, but it is over. That's plus for me. Sounds like it's even a plus for Graveyard at this point in time.
Well, essentially what we determined is we're revamping the way we do October for next year because of this.
Yeah, we need to like put movies in a hat and just like pull them out or something. I don't know what we have to do.
This is easily the worst October I put you through.
Yeah. I'm sure if you like worked in a lab, you could come up with a better one, but it would be a hard day to find it. Yeah. All right, so now we can finally move on to my month. That's right. November is Salem's month, and I get to make us watch movies that I want to watch, to confuse and possibly upset. No, I don't think you'll be upset.
No,
you might be confused. But that's it. So we'll get some palate cleansers here, and hopefully reignite my love of film, because the clowns in houses kind of wipe me out. Like, I don't even want to watch movies anymore. This is killing me.
I'm saying this right now. I watched in the middle of these The Substance. Dude, I had to cleanse my own palate, which is the first time I've had to do this in 121 episodes.
Okay, dude. I probably watched close to the number of bad movies we watched of like different, like just classic movies I've been meaning to watch, and also newer movies that I knew I would probably enjoy, just to like try to even out, and it still didn't work. It was still rough, man. It was still rough. Okay, so we're kicking off my month next time with some mind games, right? What are those films, you ask? I'm not going to tell you. You'll find out in the next episode. See, I'm playing a mind game with you. See how that works?
I did.
So if you want to see what we're going to, you'll have to check it next time. But yeah, what the title is going to be mind games. So just so you know, keep that in mind. But remember, we watch bad movies, so you don't have to.
This is Graveyard saying, have you checked on the children?
This is Salem saying, long live the new flesh.
Good night.